Okay, hi guys, welcome to the third round of the Open. Today I was playing against a 21-91 opponent, but he's like actually a GM, so I guess you know he was stronger in the past. But these guys always have the capability of playing well on a given day or a given tournament, so it's never um, good to sort of judge your opponents by their title and rating. So, anyways, I expected him to play e4, and I prepared a bit for that, but I saw that he just plays sort of, whatever these funky systems and tries to get a game. So I come to the board and he played d4. Okay, that's fine by me. I decided to go for another Bogo Indian, which served me well on the first game. But he didn't play with knight of 3. He played with g3, and yeah, I have to be honest here. Um I'm not completely aware of the move order differences. I know a couple systems against g3, but I don't know like the theory by heart of bishop b4 check here. So I spent like 10 minutes trying to understand some differences. One thing that I thought about is that in the main line of the one of the main lines of the Bogo Indian, white here goes a3, and you have to give up the bishop, otherwise white gets the center. But the difference is that in those lines you go for b6 and bishop b7, so that is with the knight on f3 and the pawn back on g2. And you go for b6 and you get the diagonal, but here it's not possible because white is first to get there. So what I was thinking during the game is that maybe it makes more sense now to go for bishop e7, since after e4, which is sort of what white wants to do. Now this line with knight e4 may be more interesting for black. Again, this might all be like theoretical, and I don't know of it, but this is just what I was thinking during the game. Because again, if we draw a comparison with the pawn on g2, knight on f3, that is just a much better, well, slightly better version for white, but it might make the whole difference, since these positions are also quite like sharp and dynamic. So I was thinking about these differences, but he played bishop d2. Also here, I was trying to see if I could transpose to the main line of the Bogo, but I was not sure about the move order differences. So I played knight c6, and yeah, I didn't really see what he could do to to diverge from the main line of the Bogo that comes after knight f3, which is what he played, and we just transposed. But I couldn't really see what he um, could do. For example, e3. I don't think that it's a move that you really want to make in these positions, and I was planning to go e5, d5, and knight b8, and just try to get this structure anyways with a5 and d6, even though I'm a couple tempos down. This pawn on e3 also doesn't strike me as that good of an inclusion. So, okay, he just played knight f3, but this is not such a great line for white, because the point is that, uh, as I said in the other game, like we always want to take with the queen in these positions and bring the knight up to c3. We don't want to put the knight on d2. But here, putting the queen on d2 is not so good, or so dangerous at least, because black goes knight e4 and then queen b4 check. And basically there isn't a good way to meet this check, because you're going to lose like either the c4 pawn or the d4 pawn. So the only real move for white here is king f1, as far as I'm aware. And okay, it's anyways not such a dangerous line, which makes sense. So knight takes d2. This is again suboptimal for white. I believe I went castles first. Castles, d6, e4, e5, d5. So this is very popular, and I believe I have also been a victim of this line, let's say, with the white pieces. But as I said in the other video, this structure is just always good for black, especially with the knight on d2, with the bishop on g2. These pieces are just misplaced, and since we got rid of the dark squared bishop, which usually resides on g7 in the King's Indian defense, this is just a much improved version for black. So he played rook b1, a5, b3. The the internet here is not particularly good, so the website takes a bit longer to load. Chess, that is. b3, by the way, just a quick thing. If white goes a3 in this position, is trying to get b4 in one go, this is a big mistake because we just go a4 and fix the structure. So he goes b3 first. And knight a6. I believe I went c6 first. I can check. Yeah, I went c6 first. Okay, knight e1, knight a6, a3, c takes d5, c takes d5. And I got a great position very quickly. Basically still not in book, but I was still very much sure of what I was doing. But after I got a great position, I just couldn't find my way through it and just managed it really poorly. So bishop d7. There's some threat of going bishop b5 someday, or maybe right now. I mean, he can still go knight c4, but then I can consider taking. I also have some ideas with a4. So he went f3, which is very passive, but he wants to give some lift for the rook. I went rook f c8. Yeah, I should probably just look at the game sheet because I'm not sure about the order in which the moves were played. So rook f2, b5. Yeah, he played very passively, knight f1. And I improved my queen, queen d8. And this is basically where the game started to go wrong for me. So again, black's position is very comfortable, and black is obviously better because of the piece activity. Well, mainly it's really that, and this file. So queen b6 is the most obvious move, but I didn't really want to trade queens because I felt like his king is just weaker than mine in the long run. So I really wanted to get a scenario where I can get queen b6 and not be disturbed here on this diagonal. Now what I ended up going for queen b6 anyways because I came up with this idea that after queen e3 I would go queen c5. Okay, it doesn't like reinvent the wheel or something, but I'm just trying to probably take with the rook and then go rook c3. But what I really underestimated here is that he goes b4, which is what he did. And basically this knight is going to be the culprit of the downfall of my position, pretty much. So what I believe I should have done is either back here to go a4, which is quite interesting, and then like maneuver the knight around to b5, and then I can go to c3 or to d4. So this is quite interesting, and I didn't even think about it at all. Or to here find a way to activate the knight. So maybe not like knight c5 immediately. So naturally, like I didn't want to trade pieces because I'm just um, up so much space. Like I have so much extra space. But yeah, even so, I feel like this. Well, given the game's you know outcome, I feel like it would have been beneficial to just trade the knights and just play a position like this without the knights. I guess he doesn't have to trade, but whatever. The point is that I just get rid of this knight that yeah, just became really bad, and I thought that I would have play against the b4 pawn, but as we'll see like quickly, this just fizzled out, and I didn't really have anything concrete to work with. So takes, rook c4, knight d3, rook a c8, knight e3. The idea of like playing rook c4 instead of rook c7 is that I was trying to prevent him from playing queen e3 and trading the queens. So I was trying to induce knight e3, which is what he did. And then rook c3. Yeah, at this point, again, I started to just feel that I didn't have anything concrete, like useful to do, and I started to maneuver my pieces in a weird way. So queen d4, and knight d1. Okay, his moves are still very passive, but again, I don't have like any direct breakthroughs. So rook a3, queen e3, and rook c4. So you can see that I'm placing my pieces sort of inside his camp, like in a weird manner, but he's also tied onto the b4 pawn. So honestly, I don't think this is so bad up until here, even though I was already spending some time because I didn't feel this was so smooth, right? But here is around this moment, I should have tried to improve this knight um, by probably maneuvering around like to d7 and b6, or maybe like knight e8 to c7, something like this, because he played rook b2, and probably now is a good time to do this, like knight e8. The first thing is that I like strategically threaten to go f5, which would give my bishop a lot of activity, just break his structure, so he should probably always enter this with g4, and now knight c7, with the idea of going knight a8, b6, and I can probably afford to do this because, he has no counterplay, and his pieces are very passive. I didn't want to allow his king to, come to the center like this, but with the knight coming to b6, this is probably fine. Again, like if you notice, it would be much more beneficial for me to have traded a pair of knights, right? Especially this a6 knight. But I should have tried to activate this knight on f6. So instead, again, I started to just get confused overall, and I did go knight e8, g4, but now I traded the queens and went rook c3. So this does force him to protect the knight, rook d2, and now still probably this knight c7. Instead, I thought that I just had this option in my pocket of going rook b3, take, and force him to go knight c2, right? This is sort of what I wanted. And now I was actually going for this plan. But I took too long, um, and this rook b3 move was too optimistic, so I just missed that he has this huge counterplay coming with rook a2. So he just sacrifices this pawn, but it is basically poisoned because then he's just coming in with rook a7, and I can pretty much resign. Like I was calculating this for a bit, but I don't really think there's a move, for example, after rook b3, trying to hang on, because like if he takes, I take the knight, rook d8, king f8, and the pawn is protected. So here I'm fine probably, but like knight a2 probably should seal the deal, because now the bishop doesn't have any squares. If knight f6, he has g5, and if bishop c8, rook a8. Yeah. So this rook a2 move was completely unexpected, and now it's remarkable that my position was so good a couple moves ago, and in just 2 or 3 moves, it'll go from super active and nice to just hideous. So here goes rook a2. I went I went with the a knight to c7, just so that, like, I don't know, at least the knights are not stuck defending each other. He went in rook a7, um, and sorry, where are we? Move 33. Yeah, king f8, king f2, Okay, I went g6 because I was afraid of some knight f5. Not sure if it's a real threat, but yeah, I was afraid of something like that because I wanted to maybe come in with the king, and then there was some problem with the b5 pawn. Um, Anyways, it goes without saying that also like my time was running sort of low here, and I realized that I was just lost, so I was just trying to make quick moves and see what happens. Okay, eventually I come up with this idea of uh, okay, I should say the main problem is not really with these pawns. I mean, my pieces are really passive, but the main problem by far is that the rook is just trapped, right? I can try to get it out, but he's just going to block it with the knights and then just come with the king and take it. So I come up with this idea of going knight a6, and at least this hangs on to the rook for a while because here he played knight c2. Because if he plays king c2, I go rook a3. Right now I'm threatening to this tactic with knight takes b4, and then I pick up his rook. And if king b2, I had like a very, you know, vague, a very faint um, optimism or hope that he would blunder knight takes b4 here. Okay, it's a bit like childish for this level, but blundering knight takes b4 and knight takes d3. Like what I mean is this: if he plays some move, like let's say knight d1 to go to c3, I can take on b4 because then I take on d3, intermediate move, and take on a4. Um, and also he had like 40 minutes on the clock. So yeah, not that hard to spot, and I'm pretty sure he saw it. He goes knight c2, and he wants to trap my rook in some other manner. And here I got, a complete like saving grace because I played knight c7. Also, funnily enough, trapping his rook, but the difference is that no one is going there to take his rook. Well, mine is definitely getting taken. But yeah, inexplicably he went knight c1 here, which just blunders the f3 pawn, so the rook gets out uh, with uh, with a pawn in hand, and now he's pretty much lost because actually his rook is trapped, and the main problem with my position was the rook being trapped. So now if the rook gets out and I even win a pawn, I'm just winning. So of course this was like huge luck. You should have played like bishop e2. I mean, during the game I wasn't fully seeing how he would capture my rook, but I'm sure there must be a way. Well, plenty of ways, honestly. I'm just completely sure, but you know, uh, I can't explain it. Sometimes these things just happen. Sometimes you blunder terribly, and sometimes they do as well. And that pretty much saved me. So the rest of the game isn't really that interesting, but I'll quickly skip through it. Knight d3. Yeah, if he took, uh, I would have played just bishop f5, I believe, and then probably like e4, and the d5 pawn is also fine. Okay, so he lost another pawn. Rook h3, knight e1, h5. Okay, now he like desperately took here and went d6. I saw this. This is not so dangerous because after he takes, like my construction here still holds. So now I realize that I could just come with the king, and I'm not even gonna take this pawn. I'm just gonna go around it and take his rook. So yeah, king d7, king d2, king d6. He tried this little trick because if I take, there's a fork on e5, but I can just ignore it. Okay, he had to sack the exchange here, 95. And yeah, the rest of the moves are pretty easy. King c7. I just took this. There isn't any danger of there isn't any danger of going to like the only danger here would be to go to some endgame where it's rook and knight versus bishop and knight. And honestly, I have no idea how that is. I'm guessing it's a draw, but it might be hard for white to hold. I'm not sure. But he's not even getting that because I'm always keeping a pawn, and with that pawn, like that'll force him to sacrifice a piece for it down the road. So, um, yeah, I'm trying to read my own handwriting here. I think he went knight g6. Yeah, probably. And now, yeah, bishop e2. But anyways, as I said, all I have to do is just keep one pawn. So he took knight d5. The rest of the moves were played out pretty quickly, and nothing really happened. It's just a matter of starting to roll this pawn through. So, bishop e2, king d5, knight here, rook b6 to come around. He went king c3, king e4, check, king f5, bishop f3. Now I cut his king off, and now I just want to come around with my king. So this is move 66, rook b6, knight b3, king here, knight c5, king h4, and here's that. Okay. Yeah, this again was a really successful Bogo Indian. What the hell is going on with the website? This was a really successful Bogo Indian, but then I just lost the thread. That has absolutely nothing to do with the opening. The opening was completely goated. I'm gonna keep on playing the Bogo Indian probably. Um, yeah, then I just lost the thread around here. I should have really activated my knight. But okay, we got the win. That's really what matters at the end of the day. And tomorrow, I got a bit unlucky because I should have been paired with someone like higher rated than me, which is usually good. Like, I want to play stronger opposition, but I got paired again below my level, so it's another sort of must-win game. Although, like, already being 3 out of 3, I don't really treat it as like with the same intensity of having to win, let's say, but it would still be great to win. So yeah, that was all for today, guys. I'll see you with the next recap.